Okay, guys, we're going to look at Act 4, Scene 2. This is when Ross has already told Lady Macbeth that her husband has fled from Scotland, and she's pretty upset. And she says, why did he leave? And Ross tries to calm her down. I think some important lines that we want to look at here are down below when she says his flight was madness. She's just not sure why he would have done this and left she and her children all alone. And so Ross says, you know not whether it was his wisdom or his fear. All right. And, of course, he's trying to say here that he would know better. All right. But Lady Macbeth comes back with this metaphor here about the poor wren. The most diminutive of birds will fight her young ones in her nest against the owl. This takes us back to sort of, that idea of Macbeth as the owl, and Macbeth as the wren. Now, whether she knows that she's, saying that or not, that doesn't matter. Clearly, the metaphor for us is clear. But she says that there's no wisdom in him fleeing, and her reasoning is because these times are so treacherous, with traitors all around. And so she's pretty angry. And Ross just continues to try to reassure her throughout this whole scene, to suggest that her husband is not what she thinks, or maybe not thinks. I think she knows he's a noble man. She's just upset. But he reminds her that Macduff is noble, wise, judicious, and best knows the fits of the season. I think those are some pretty crucial lines here, because in these dangerous times, we need people like Macduff. Okay, he is the sort of the security, that we can find in these treacherous times. Ross goes on to say something pretty important here. He says, cruel are the times when we are traitors and do not know ourselves, when we hold rumor from what we fear, yet know not what we fear, but float upon a wild and violent sea, each way and none. So, what he's saying here is that anyone can be a traitor without knowing it. Now, how is that? Think about it. Under Macbeth, there's a spy in everybody's house. So, under these conditions, there's all kind of rumors going on. So, we don't know exactly what we can fear and what we should fear, or which way we should turn or not turn. So, I could do something and be considered a traitor even though I'm not. So, it is just a crazy time. Ross exits the scene, and then we are in a really extraordinary moment between a son and his mother. It's very touching. We recognize in this scene that this boy is quite precocious, and she plays along with that. All right, to continue this scene, Lady Macbeth is trying to sort of make light of the situation, and she says to her son, Sarah, your father's dead, and what will you do now? How will you live? He says, as birds do, mother. What, with worms and flies? with what I get, I mean, and so do they. Poor bird, thou'st never fear the net nor the line, the pitfall nor the gin. Why should I, mother? Poor birds they are not set for. My father is not dead, for all your saying. Yes, he is dead. How wilt thou do for a father? All right. Lots of fun here. Clearly what's going on here is that the boy's reply is showing that he knows that his father is not dead. But at the same time, he's just playing along with her to try to probably make light of things as well, because being precocious, he's sort of figured out that things are a little bit uneasy, but he still is a representation of the fact that, poor birds, if you want to think about it that way, poor birds here are actually too little to be trapped. So he's trying to sort of turn the tables on his mother, all right? And write that down. And so, despite what his mother has said, they're just teasing one another. He's kind of throwing it back on her and asks what she'll do for a husband, and that's on the next slide there. And she says, well, she can buy 20 husbands at any market. And of course, at that point, he answers that if she did, then she would just sell them again. And so there's this playfulness. They both are here, meaning that, of course, no one is as good as Macbeth. Okay. This idea is continued when the son says, was my father a traitor, mother? And she says, aye, that he was. What is a traitor? Why, one that swears and lies. And be all traitors that do so? Every one that does so is a traitor, and must be hanged. And must they all be hanged that swear and lie? Every one. Who must hang them? Why, the honest men. Then the liars and swearers are fools. For there are liars and swearers enough for now, to beat the honest men and hang up them. The son's precociousness is quite obvious here. He has recognized that there are more liars and swearers in the world than there are honest men. So this is the sign of the times, right? Okay. That things are distorted. The messenger comes in after this and explains to her that she may not know him, but she better get out of there, because says, I doubt some danger approaches you nearly. Be not found here. So, and then he leaves. And then her response to this is pretty important. She says, but whither should I fly? I have done no harm, but I remember now I'm in this earthly world where to do harm is often laudable. So to do evil is actually praised. All right. Sometime accounted to do good is dangerous. This is quite relevant here in terms of what we know that Macbeth has done. So Macbeth is doing good by leaving and trying to help the state of affairs in Scotland. And he is suspected for evil. So she's basically saying, no matter what I do right now, it isn't going to matter in this distorted world. Why should I put up that womanly defense to say I have done no harm? Think about it this way. She's in her home, and she's basically saying, if I'm not safe here, then where would I be safe? And so the murderers are there, and they're ready to kill her, as well as anyone else in the castle. And sadly, we see that she defends her husband here, but it's to no avail. She will be killed anyway. So does her son. He is also killed. And the scene ends on a rather sad note. And clearly this is all because of Macbeth's evil. If I did not mention that you need to read the utilitarianism information on the article in this recording, then please note that you should do that, because it will be clear to you that Macbeth fulfills that, the definition of that. All right. Have a good one.